Welcome back. You are watching KURA 2022 on the last bit, and we are with the Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Mombe Waiguru to talk matters national. And now let's talk about the gender question in the country. We'll be getting to the advisory that the former Chief Justice David Kinani Maraga accorded the President to dissolve Parliament. But first, there are talks of you, the Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Mombe Waiguru, deputizing the Deputy President as his deputy on the ballot on the 9th of August. These reports, can you independently verify these reports? And if accorded that opportunity, would you take up?
Let me say what I've said many times, that the decision of who will be the running mate in our side of the coalition, and especially to William Ruto, is a decision completely given to our party leader. We have given him the assurance and the support that whoever he chooses, because he's the one who's going to be choosing the running mate, because he needs to choose somebody who will help him run government, we will support him. So that is his decision. Am I being considered? I don't know, because we have not had that conversation with the Deputy President directly. However, if you listen around, you will hear that there are a couple of people that are under consideration. Would I accept? I have said again many times, it would be a great honor to deputize William Ruto as the President of Kenya. And therefore, if he saw it fit that I would compliment him and support him, I would accept it. But as I've said, right now, my focus is entirely and completely on Kirinyaga and running again for the gubernatorial seat until and when that issue arises.
Okay. We have the very sticking problem that is rather very rife when you talk about inclusion, and this is the gender aspect. You remember the former Chief Justice, the President of the Supreme Court, advised the President on the dissolution of Parliament for failure to follow the constitutional Article 27 on gender representation, because no gender can be more than 2/3 in terms of makeup. What do you think must be done to attain that? Because we had constitutionalized it, still it has not materialized, and there are talks of even some party leaders across the country during the nominations handing over direct tickets to women leaders so that they can contest.
It's really, I must say, very frustrating. We've been looking at even the trend so far, even with the increase in the number of women coming out to run. Even in our party, we have an increased number, but we are still not getting to the place where we are getting 30%. And I think now it will have to be a deliberate intervention by the political parties and the coalitions to ensure that they are supporting women candidates. I must thank again our alliance for prompting women, especially in positions of leadership like in the gubernatorial. I think we might end up with a minimum of 6 from our side, which will be a great improvement from where we are coming from nationally. We would like more. We hope more. We saw some struggles with some of our women candidatures at the nomination. I understand the challenges of the party, because they can't just give a woman unless they have the necessary popularity, because otherwise you stand the risk of losing. But they need to be deliberate about ensuring that women are given the opportunity and are profiled enough and are supported enough to be able to win these seats. Now where we are at, having gotten all the nominations clear, I think what parties need to do is ensure they provide at least 2 parliament, and ensuring also across to the county assembly, that is a zebra list that gives priority to women for nomination to fill up the numbers to attain the 2/3 gender rule. Because if we do not attain the 2/3 gender rule, you have to nominate. If we go for elections and the numbers are less than 1/3, according to our constitution, they will need to fill up those numbers. But we are hoping that the gap will be less this time than it was before, though we can tell that it will not be as small as we had thought it would be. We still have a lot of work to do. And then in the next 5 years, there has to be a deliberate effort to position women so that also even the electorate can start seeing women as leaders. And one of the things that I hope sincerely that all political parties, whoever is running for president, because right now we don't have any female candidate, that they all choose a woman running mate. I think that will go a long way in sending a message to the electorate, to the country, and starting to change also our patriarchal narrative to ensure that we are seeing women as equals. And then therefore maybe next time we will not even need nominations because they can be then elected.
Okay, yeah. And when you look at a country like Rwanda, which is a next door neighbor, has women representation of 64%. That's even more than what the United Kingdom's House of Commons has in London, which is about 29%. And this is an African country. And you look at the UK, it's a civilized democracy, the Westminster system that many countries across the world always envy to have. But you look at Rwanda and the strides it has made, and this is largely attributed to the political will provided by the government of President Paul Kagame. And we have seen in our context, despite the presence of party leaders, the ODM party chief, William Ruto, and the president wanting this gender inclusion and the attainment of Article 27 of the Constitution, members of Parliament defied that. So what needs to change then? Do we need the change from societal setup up top as we look at the hierarchy in terms of women inclusion? Because it's gender, there's no specificity attached by the Constitution, man or woman, but the tides might change and might come a time when the women are the majority and now we have a flip of the current status quo. So what needs to be done more?
There's a lot of capacity building that needs to be done. And that's what I said, in the next 5 years, once we have done the zebra list, once we have nominated, once we've gotten into Parliament and we have the requisite a third, even if it's through nomination, we need to work very seriously on capacity building of those in leadership to ensure that they are playing their role in supporting women into leadership. And secondly, civic education. We need a lot of civic education out there. An aggressive civic education that provides for the communities also to identify these women leaders and support them. Because in some communities, for example, you will still find that the general public will not perceive a woman as a possibility of being elected. In fact, it's very interesting. Even in Kirinyaga in this season, they elected me as a woman governor, but they did not elect a single MCA, woman MCA. We had to nominate the entire lot of them, and we're hoping that we actually get a few women elected this season in August. So a lot of civic education, a lot of support to upcoming women leaders, and also providing a fair level playing field, because it's not easy. It's not easy for a woman, considering their roles and responsibilities to family and to the community, for them to be able to undergo some of the things that we have to undergo to even just clinch our seats. It will take a lot more than just saying let women present themselves and go and run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we talked about devolution earlier, there's also another sticky point, which is in regards to the deputy governors, and you are very clear, you are very specific about when you are queried on whether you will retain your current deputy governor, and you said no. And before I ask you why, there is a trend that continues to dot the devolved system of governance where there is no in tandem relation between the governors and their deputies. There was an amendment seeking to strengthen the office of the deputy governor in 2014 by the Elgeyo Marakwet County Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, but that failed and never materialized. You look at the case of Nyeri, Mutahi Kahiga and Dr. Caroline Karogo, there is a clear fallout. Today the president appointed Dr. Karogo to be Kenya's ambassador to Denmark in Europe. And you have the case of the West Pokot County Governor, John Lonyangapo, the professor, and his deputy who was in the US for the past 5 years, drawing salary, not working for the people. And then the case of Embu County Governor, the current COG chairperson, that's Martin Nyaga Wambora. I talked to him, he said he doesn't know where his deputy is. What is the problem between governors and their deputies?
I think, I wouldn't say there is a general problem between governors and deputies, because there's a sample. There's 47 counties, and many of them by and large work very well with their deputies. If you look at the governor of Kwale and
Salim Vuria.
yes, Salim Vuria, and the deputy. They work very well. In fact, he's supporting her for governor this round, and that's how ideally should be. But sometimes, because of different personalities or different strategies or different priorities, sometimes people do go different ways, and that can happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that if it does, that it is a very big issue. Sometimes people just go different ways, and for various reasons, especially when you have two politicians in the office. If the work is not quite defined, or if one person becomes overambitious and decides to either undermine their boss or decide to do something that then brings tension, that can happen. But I think by and large, many of the deputy governors work fairly okay with their governors. Yeah.
And you talked about being ambitious, and that is a word that the president had used to describe the Deputy President William Ruto, because it's also a similar problem. The reason as to why we have given ourselves this constitution and rather gave the office of the Deputy President a security of 10 years so that he cannot be dismissed, as we witnessed during the presidency of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, who had many vice presidents. And is ambition what drove apart, in your view, the president and the Deputy President?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's despite the president saying that the head of his deputy was ambitious.
That's his view.
Okay.
My view, that is not the reason.
Okay. Let's now also finish up with this, because it's equally another important matter. And we talked about Mount Kenya politics, and without, of course, a key ingredient, and that is the president, who will be retiring come August because he cannot go for another term since he's barred constitutionally. In terms of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who you worked under as a cabinet minister during the first term government of the Jubilee Party, and now as a governor, and you always talk to him, as you said, and in that interview you pointed out that the fact that you crossed over or decamped to the UDA party doesn't mean, or is not an affront to the president. What is President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, according to Governor Anne Mombe Waiguru?
I think he has worked hard. I think there are certain achievements that he has achieved in his tenure. He's done fairly well in terms of delivering on development, on his priorities, on infrastructure especially. He has put a huge effort in that. Projects such as rural electrification, he's done pretty well. He has also done well in his Big Four, by and large. He hasn't completed what he would have wanted, but he's done fairly well. So I think he has a legacy, so to speak, in terms of performance. Yeah.
In a scale of 1 to 10?
Scale maybe 6.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Which is above average?
Yeah.
Governor Anne Mombe Waiguru, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And company and hosting us here.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And thank you to you too for watching the broadcast. We are taking the account of the Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Mombe Waiguru. And we'll see you next Monday here on the broadcast. Good night.